You know, it's been quite a while since Kill La Kill has been incredibly relevant, and so this release for this figure was really random, but of course appreciated. So yeah, today's Figma is number 442, Mako Man Kanshoku. Mako is actually one of my favorite characters from Kill La Kill, so it was nice to finally see her get released as a Figma, but let me really quickly recap the recent releases. The original Kiryuin Satsuki didn't come out until 2015, and then the later Ryuko came out in 2017. So late 2019, in December, them releasing Mako seems just incredibly detached. I guess it's funny to see all three figures have a difference of 2 years between them all, but geez, I didn't realize it was that long. Still, I'm happy to see it, and of course, as usual, the box looks amazing, so let's go over it now. The front of the box is covered with plenty of branding, and it's of course the window display that is so famous with the Figma boxes. Nice effective way to show the character and some of the accessories right here. The top shows her pointing at the Figma logo, which is rather cute. The side begins with guts, and if we pan up, we get to see Mako flashing an aggressive double peace sign. The other side has something I'm not familiar with. This is an original drawing, it looks like, and it's Mako with her hands above her head, yelling hallelujah with guts clinging to her skirt. I actually really like this detail here. It makes the box much more personal. And finally, on the bottom, we actually get a different shot of her sleeping, complete with snot bubble. The box looks great. That high contrast of the yellow with the black all works really well. All the text is really easily readable on the black. There's an art to making a good box, and Figma seems to always do so. But let's open this up because there's even more to see. So inside of the box, there's even another drawing of Mako here telling you to open it and pointing upwards. So that's pretty hilarious and adorable. What a great little piece of detail. Now hilariously, the box has still more to show us. Inside, there's a bunch of cute little rabbits, a familiar pattern for Mako here, as well as these little cutouts inside of the flap of the box. As you can see, this one here is a flag, which she's depicted on the back of the box holding. And then there's these little mirrors. All of this is supposed to be cut out, and none of it's really perforated, so that kind of bothers me. I don't want to ruin the packaging, and I don't see these as really necessary accessories, so I'm not going to tally them as part of the figure. While I appreciate them giving us more, I don't see these as killer accessories that you need to have for the figure to look good. I mean, after all, they're just kind of cardboard, which is a bit of a cheap cop-out. They tell you on the website to just use a skewer to make the flag because there's no flagpole included, but whatever, I'm talking about this far too much. And of course included is the Figma Ziploc bag for holding her accessories. And of course the signature Figma stand, which has the base as well as this 3-hinged arm which plugs right into her back. And I probably don't really need to say it, but Mako looks amazing here. This figure is incredibly clean and nice and vibrant. Everything looks wonderful, and it's a wonderful representation of the character. Simple characteristics like her eyes and the smile that she normally has are all done so well. This figure looks so bright, clean, and happy. It really does capture all of the character that Mako has. Just simple details like the way her shoes look, to the fact that her socks have a cut at the bottom of the legs, her ruffled skirt, the shirt, everything here just looks so clean. You'll notice that the shirt is actually a very pale desaturated blue, which I think is great. It looks so much better than just a plain white with some shading, and it really does make the uniform look all the more authentic. She's just short of 5 inches, which is a pretty typical Figma, but let's move on to posability. In theory, she should be a lot like many other Figmas due to the fact that she's composed of many ball joints as well as hinge joints. To begin, her head can go up and down, and it can be swiveled side to side and rolled around as you need it to. Thanks to the ball joints next to her ample bust, we can move her arms in all sorts of different rotations. They can be swiveled in and out, anything you'd like with those. Her arm is further posable due to the little peg joint that would allow her to swivel her arm just at where it connects at the sleeve. Her elbow allows for it to go in and out, of course, as well as being swiveled. And finally, her removable hands can go up and down on the hinge as well as be swiveled about. Now inside of her shirt, it's actually rather hard, so you can't get in there and see, but there is certainly a ball joint in there because it allows her to roll about as needed, swivel up and down, side to side, so that's always nice to have. And under her skirt, we can see she does have panties as well as a ball joint connecting her lower torso to her pelvis, so she can of course be rolled around there as well for even more articulation. Her legs are of course on ball joints as well, which allows them to go in and out and roll all around as needed. And she even has a little bit of a butt cheek there, so that's a nice feature. Of course, her knees are on hinges that can go in and out, and of course be swiveled as you need to. This is not an additional point of articulation, but you can see that there is a physical cut where her sock is connected to her leg. So that's a nice little way to distinguish it rather than just having it painted, and I do appreciate it. So that's not going to move, but you can of course go down to her feet, which are on hinges as well, which can go up and down, and of course be swiveled side to side and rolled about. But additionally, her toe is also hingeable upwards and downwards. Overall, her posability is glorious. Now, it should be noted that this is actually a double ball joint, so you're going to get a lot of great articulation here. And there are also slits cut in the top of her uniform, which will allow her arms, when turned, to go fully up, which can sometimes be a problem with other figures if the suit is a little too inflexible. But that is not a problem here with Mako, and I do appreciate that because she does some pretty crazy animated poses. Now, of course, she comes with these opened hands for default, but knowing Figma, she has plenty of others, such as she has a pair of balled fists here, which are great for punching. She has a pair of peace signs as well, which are great for signifying victory. She also has opened hands where her fingers are more together rather than spread out and fanned. She could karate chop with these hands. She also has a pair of pointing hands as well, which we saw on the top of the box where she was pointing at the Figma logo. She also comes with a pair of gripping hands, which really don't do her any good since she doesn't come with any holdable accessories other than the suggestion of making a skewer flag or the cardboard mirror cutouts that come inside the box. But overall, having 6 pairs of hands is rather nice. Now, another notable feature of the Figma line is that typically you can take off the hair and face and swap it out for different expressions. She comes with this hilariously angry face, which is very cut out. I love the way that they did the mouth. It kind of reminds me of Kirby. It's not just painted on though, it's actually physically cut out. She also comes with another opened mouth face where her eyes are sort of closed in a rather tense way. I guess this would be a frustrated scream? And then she comes with this closed-eye, drooling, sleeping face, complete with snot bubble. Rather adorable. Now that I think of it, all of her additional faces have opened mouths, so I don't know what that says about Mako, but I do like them all. Now, other than that, the only other accessory is Mako's dog, Guts. And I do love Guts, so I'm happy to see them include him, but beyond that, that's all there is to it. Guts looks really funny. He's wearing his signature hoodie and has his tongue sticking out as he usually does, and his head is even turnable left to right, so there's even the smallest bit of posability there, so I do appreciate that they included him in this capacity. The only other accessory is the additional head, and the only difference between the two is that this one has a cutout in the back so that you can actually make her look all the way up, rather than with the regular dome hair. She wouldn't be able to do that because it would be blocked. Now, interestingly enough, inside of this one, there is a ball joint, which would allow it to rotate and move the way that we need it to, and yeah, it can look all the way up or all the way down, and that hinge on the ball joint really does allow it for full posability. Okay, so brace yourself, because I think my opinion of this might be a bit controversial. While I do love Mako, and I do think that this is a good-looking figure, I'm not quite happy with it. I feel like it sort of let me down, especially being as it's a Figma figure. While I appreciate there being 6 pairs of hands and 4 different facial expressions, I feel like there's really nothing else to talk about here. It's really just kind of boring. And for a character like Mako, there was so much they could have done with her. I think if anything, it would have been smarter to make her in her alternate uniform. But of course, I think both versions of the character look great, so there was something they could have done here, and I think the problem is it doesn't come with really any other accessories. If they would have made a DX version of this figure with maybe some additional stuff, I could understand that. And for a figure like this, I feel like it would be absolutely justified. It's been 2 years since the last figure in this series came out, and to be honest, Kill la Kill hasn't been relevant for quite some time. Studio Trigger would be much smarter to release some Figmas of characters from Puromea. I'm not hating on it, I'm just saying that it let me down. The fact that they want me to cut out cardboard from the box and make my own makeshift accessories is kind of insulting, especially because this figure is more expensive than both Ryuko and Satsuki. It's been so long since I've even cared about Kill la Kill that I actually sold the other 2 Figmas. I remember in the beginning thinking that Mako was a no-brainer for the line, but now that she's here, I just feel a bit let down. Now, it isn't just because of the fact that she doesn't come with enough accessories. The double ball joint in her shoulders really breaks the immersion for me. There's too often where I pose her and she looks pretty terrible. There's of course things that you can do to mask it, but the problem is that there's not enough you can do with this figure. I don't really want to pose her in many different poses, and then when I do, I have to do tricks so that I can cover up her gaps inside of her joints. Another thing that really annoyed me was that the plug for her back was incredibly loose. If I tried to move her just a little bit, the stand would come unplugged from her back. I'm not sure if that's just my figure, but that was a huge problem too. It really pains me to say it, but this figure wasn't that great. For the price that I paid, I'm kind of irritated, and I might wind up just reselling this one because I don't know if I want to keep it. All in all, I'll give Mako a 7 out of 10. And it's upsetting to do so, but unfortunately, that's just how I feel. But what do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you like Mako? Why don't you like the video? And why don't you tell me what you thought of this figure in the comments below? I'm gonna link another video on screen, and if you wanna help me out, just click that because I worked really hard on this video and it didn't quite get the love that I think it deserves. Beyond that, make sure to subscribe because I'm always making new figure reviews, and stay tuned for some awesome new content. Everybody have an amazing weekend and keep on collecting.